Sometimes life is messy. Have you ever wished you could refocus your mind, home, relationships, and work life? Join us as we use research-based information to make practical changes and simplify life. This is Life Simplified.
Welcome back to Life Simplified. I'm Joni, your host for today. Today we're going to tackle a popular question that is out everywhere right now, and it's gluten-free. And is it really for me or for you? So you're probably seeing some gluten-free products popping up everywhere from bread to beer. But do we all need to avoid gluten is really the question that I need to be asking. Before we really dig into this subject, I want to ask you a few questions about it. Have any of you all ever thought about cutting out gluten in your diet?
No.
No. I mean, serious.
No,
yeah.
I have not personally. But again, I don't have any medical or health considerations that would encourage me to do so. And I very much enjoy wheat and wheat products. So it would be really hard, but I do understand and value that can be a good choice if your body necessitates that.
Same. It's not something that I have thought about doing, but I know that people have to do that. And I'm glad that there are so many more options now than there used to be.
Yes.
Yeah, the same. I've tried gluten-free items just because we have some people in our office that are gluten-free. So then when we celebrate holidays and things, we try to be mindful. But just purchasing for myself, no, I have not.
Yeah. You know, there is so many different products out there now and there's so much more information and research-based information out there now about gluten and the reasons why some people need to choose to be gluten-free and some that you don't have to be. So first we need to understand exactly what gluten is. And starting with the basics, gluten is a protein found in wheat, barley, and rye. It's what gives bread the softness, the chewy texture we all love. And you'll find gluten in a lot of everyday foods like cereal, pasta, sauces, soups, dressings, and there's a lot more. Oats don't naturally contain gluten, but they're often processed with some type of wheat in the facility where they're being made, which can cause cross-contamination. For most people, that's not a big deal, but for others, especially those with gluten-sensitive and celiac disease, it can cause real health issues. So that just kind of gives us a baseline of what gluten really is. Talking about the celiac disease and gluten-sensitive, let's talk about them and what they are, and that way we can understand what their definition truly is. Celiac disease is an autoimmune disorder that affects about 1% of our population. When somebody with celiac eats gluten, their immune system attacks the lining of their small intestines and makes it harder for the body to absorb the nutrients that is in there. It can lead to serious problems like fatigue, bloating, malnutrition, and even anemic. And the only proven treatment being a complete gluten-free diet is the only way to be able to manage this. There is also something called non-celiac gluten sensitive, or it's called NCGS. These folks react to gluten too. It is not an autoimmune disease. It's a symptom that includes stomach pain, headaches, fatigue, and it acts like you do have celiac, but without the damage that it causes. And let's not forget about wheat allergies as well. That's a separate issue altogether with an allergic reaction to wheat products, but gluten-free products may help. But it is also not a one-size-fits-all kind of reaction. I also, when I was doing my research on this, I found some facts and myths about gluten-free, and that some facts that is about being gluten-free diet. It is a necessary medical condition. So also, a fact about being gluten-free, it's a nutrient deficiency for those without a medical need. Avoiding gluten can lead to a deficiency in fiber, vitamin B, iron, which is often added to gluten in the products. Naturally gluten-free foods, many whole foods like fruits, vegetables, lean protein, and natural gluten-free grains like rice. Many processed gluten-free products may also be less healthier than the gluten-contained counterpart because they're often contained with more sugar, fat, calories, and comparison of the absorption of the gluten. Gluten-free products, foods are often more expensive than regular foods. And it is crucial to be tested for celiac disease or gluten insensitive before eliminating gluten, as the test results will be invalid if gluten is already removed from your diet. So remember, these are all facts about it, and next we're going to talk about what the myths are about being gluten-free and free diet. Gluten-free is automatically healthier for us. That is not always the case. That is a false statement. Many processed gluten-free products has less nutrients and higher in sugar, fat, and calories compared to the other products.
And I think that is a myth that lots of people believe.
Yes.
That I'm going to go gluten-free because I'm going to be healthier. Like you said, that's not necessarily the case. Mm-hmm. So you can still make healthy choices and not be gluten-free if it's not a medical need.
Right. The next one is a gluten-free diet causes weight loss. That is false. This is not necessarily the truth. Many people find they gain weight because processed gluten-free foods are higher in them calories and fat, and they often overcompensate with other foods. Gluten is bad for everybody. Mm-hmm. That is also not true. Gluten itself is not bad for most people. It is only determined to those with medical conditions, like I just talked about a while ago, celiac disease. Gluten-free foods are tasteless. This is a myth as well. Many delicious grain foods are available, especially when focusing on whole grains, natural free grain ingredients. And from years past to now, they have come a long way with these products. Another one is gluten-free means carb-free. That is not true. That is a myth. Gluten is a protein, not a carbohydrate. Gluten-free foods can be high in carbohydrates from other food sources like rice, potato, and also corn. Should everybody go gluten-free? No. Well, I've already asked you, have you ever considered it? I personally have never considered it as well. At one time, I thought I did have a gluten allergy, but I did not. So I don't want to cut out all of them things. So we just need to have more research-based information to be able to determine that. Here's some things that, it gets interesting about gluten, being gluten-free. Eating it has become a huge trend, but unless you have celiac disease or gluten sensitization, there are medical reasons to avoid gluten. In fact, cutting gluten unnecessarily can mean missing out on important nutrients that our body needs: fiber, iron, calcium, and vitamin B. As I mentioned earlier, many gluten-free products, foods are higher in fat and sugar. So for people without gluten issues, a gluten-free diet isn't guarantee a path of weight loss or better health. It's a balanced diet of whole grains, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and also a low-fat dairy, along with regular physical activity still would be the good standard to go. Now for those who do need to avoid gluten, it's not a bad news at all. It's just an adjustment in our lives. There are plenty of natural gluten-free, nutrient-dense foods like couscous, buckwheat, lentils, beans, fruits, vegetables, and lean meats that we can eat. These foods can help replace, our key nutrients like our calcium, our iron, our fiber, and our vitamin B, that if we cut all of that out, that we are not getting the nutrients that we need. And if you're eating out, always communicate clearly, let the restaurant know that it is a medical condition far as that you cannot have gluten foods. And also the cross-contamination in the kitchen as well. The good news is it's easier to find gluten-free products in all of our stores. The FDA regulates gluten-free labels requiring foods to contain less than 20 parts per million glutens. That's a very small amount of food, which is safe for most people with gluten sensitivity. But those products can be pricey, so it helps to build your meals around natural gluten-free foods instead of replacing on packaged replacements. So gluten-free, is it for you? If you have celiac disease or gluten sensitivity or a wheat allergy, absolutely. It is a necessary and effective treatment. But for everybody else, gluten is not the villain it often makes out to be. It's just a protein one that can be part of a balanced, healthy diet. If you suspect that you have a gluten issue, talk with your healthcare provider or a regular dietitian before making that big change. They can help you find the right approach for your body and also for your lifestyle. Thanks for listening. This is Life Simplified.
Thanks for listening to Life Simplified. We are family and consumer sciences agents with the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. Contact us at lifesimplifiedpodcast@gmail.com.